Welcome to the high-octane world of Formula One, the zenith of motor racing. In this episode, we're revving up to explore the thrilling origins, dynamic history and the vibrant fan culture of F1. But there's more to it than just the adrenaline-pumping races and roaring engines that captivate audiences worldwide. We'll be taking an in-depth look at the intricate point system, the cutting-edge technology in engine and car design, and the strategic masterminds behind the wheel. So gear up, grab your favourite snacks and a drink, and join us on this exhilarating ride through the heart of Formula One. Buckle up, let's get started. The concept of Formula One was officially established in 1946 by the Commission Sportive Internationale, CSI, of the FIA, which later became FISA. It was designed as the premier single-seater racing category in global motorsports, and it was set to take effect in 1947. Initially referred to as the International Formula, it had various names such as Formula A, Formula One or Formula One, while the corresponding Voiturette formula was labelled as Formula B, Formula 2 or Formula 2. The 500cc formula, recognised as Formula 3 in 1950, did not adopt the title Formula C. As a result, the three international formulas were officially designed as Formula 1, Formula 2 and Formula 3. In the beginning, the formula was largely based on pre-World War II regulations defined by engine capacity. The regulation is expected to bring a new balance between supercharged and normally aspirated cars. Non-supercharged 4.5-litre pre-war Grand Prix cars were allowed to race against the pre-war 1.5-litre supercharged Voiturettes, while pre-war supercharged 3-litre Grand Prix cars were banned. The first Formula One race took place in 1950 at Silverstone, England, and on public roads in London. The first Formula One Championship race took place that year at the British Grand Prix, and the series has been an annual event ever since. Previously, Grand Prix racing, the top tier of international racing held on road courses until the 1930s, and Formula Libre, open-wheeled racing on a mix of road and dirt courses, coexisted. Despite the existence of Formula 1 and Formula 2, Formula Libre races were considered the main events. British teams like BRM, Connaught and Nigel Norman Racing dominated the early years of Formula 1, with the majority of drivers being British. During this period, Formula 1 cars differed noticeably from their modern counterparts, featuring front-mounted engines instead of rear-mounted ones. The 1960s marked a significant shift in Formula One, marked by an increase in racing fatalities and a move away from Europe to global venues. The number of fatalities rose dramatically during this decade, leading to a change in focus in 1968. Jochen Rindt was posthumously awarded the Formula One Drivers' Championship title in 1970, the same year the Constructors' Championship title was introduced. The 1970s signalled Formula One's transition from a European-centric series to a global sport. While Britain remained at the sport's core, other countries joined the series and turbocharged cars were introduced. The focus also shifted to spectators with the introduction of computerized timing, onboard cameras for broadcasting, and a shift toward efficiency and cleaner motors. The 1980s marked a modern era for Formula One with an advanced carbon fibre chassis, electronic systems, and the beginning of global expansion. Commercialisation increased and the sport became less privately funded. The decade also witnessed the return of the United States Grand Prix, expansion to new continents, and technological advancements such as electronic traction control. But it wasn't until the 1990s that Formula One evolved into a truly global presence, with races in different regions. Corporate sponsorship replaced private funding, and Bernie Ecclestone played a role in expanding the sport's global reach. New circuits were introduced, including those in Brazil, Japan and Canada. Technological and safety innovations like semi-automatic gearboxes, electronic traction control and grooved tyres were introduced during this decade. The arrival of the new millennium saw the introduction of V10 engines and at the beginning of the dominance of Ferrari and Michael Schumacher. While Ferrari celebrated their dominance, the sport itself was seen by many as being in trouble. Two more privateers, Prost and Arrows, had closed their doors for good, while Benetton was bought out by Renault. Even more troubling was the one team seemingly in no danger of disappearing, Ferrari. While Formula One was no stranger to teams monopolising the winner's stand, Ferrari's actions throughout the 2002 season annoyed many, in particular the staged finishes of the Austrian Grand Prix and the US Grand Prix. It seemed to many that it was possible to take the dictum of win at all costs too far. Ratings and attendance noticeably declined in the latter half of 2002, a serious problem for a sport that was by far the most expensive and, more importantly, more lucrative in the world by this time. While Formula One was somewhat popular at this time, it wasn't until the purchase of Formula One Group by Liberty Media that really saw the sport skyrocket in popularity. When Liberty Media took over F1 in 2017, there was a notable shift in F1's approach to digital content and social media. With the easing of video restrictions, teams, drivers, and F1 media were able to start to build a more honest and open presence online, drawing in fans. And especially with the Netflix series Drive to Survive, Formula One has become extremely popular now in the USA, which is a huge market, and its popularity continues to rise. In recent times, Formula One has emerged as a highly sought-after platform for sponsors aiming to engage with a diverse worldwide audience. The sport's extensive global reach, coupled with its affluent demographics, strong focus on technology and innovation, and increasing sponsorship avenues, particularly in areas like gambling, make it an appealing choice for brands across various industries. F1's global presence allows sponsors to establish connections with fans spanning the globe, contributing to the continuous expansion of the sport's fan base and heightening its attractiveness to sponsors. Moreover, the affluent demographics associated with F1 provide sponsors with an opportunity to target a discerning, high-end market and showcase products to a well-informed audience. The sport's emphasis on technology has also drawn sponsors from the automotive and technology sectors, fostering collaborations that result in cutting-edge innovations applicable beyond motorsport. Additionally, the evolving sponsorship landscape, including opportunities in gambling, presents brands with a chance to engage with F1's dynamic and youthful audience. However, the incorporation of gambling sponsorships in Formula One does raise concerns and requires careful consideration of potential risks by brands. In conclusion, Formula One offers sponsors a distinctive platform to connect with a diverse global audience, featuring expanding sponsorship prospects across various sectors. Brands that grasp the potential of this platform and effectively harness it stand to benefit from the significant opportunities offered by F1 sponsorship. The annual F1 calendar for 2024 features 24 races, but it was slowly expanding as it wasn't always like this. Formula One has made it clear its intention to move towards greater calendar regionalisation, reducing logistical burdens and making the season more sustainable. The F1 calendar of today differs greatly from the one agreed for the first year of the World Championship in 1950. Back then, there were only 7 races, and they were spread out from May to September, with 6 held in Europe, the exception being the US-located Indianapolis 500, which most regular F1 drivers skipped. New European venues gradually arrived as Formula One established itself, while the first overseas edition came in 1953 as teams headed to Argentina in South America for the first time. Since then, the sport has expanded to North America, Asia, the Middle East and Australia, with races also being held in Africa. Of the original venues used in 1950, Silverstone, Monaco, Spa-Francorchamps and Monza still feature, albeit with several significant track layout and safety-based changes being made over the years. There are some pretty iconic races in Monza, Monaco and Silverstone. The famous Monaco street circuit is considered the most prestigious of the year, with every corner having its own tale to tell. The race was first held in 1929 1989, and the track layout has hardly changed to this day. Modifications have been made solely on the grounds of safety or to fit in with changes to the local roads, and space is at a premium, so pit facilities are on 2 floors, with the cars on the ground, of course, while the engineers work above them. Cars tackle the track with the lowest average speed and the slowest corners on the calendar. This track, speed-wise, is the complete polar opposite of Monza, which is called the Temple of Speed, and it is the second oldest permanent circuit in use today on the F1 calendar. It's the historic home of the Italian Grand Prix, having hosted the race every year since 1950. It's a very demanding track with its very long straights, which are broken up by chicanes and slow corners, requiring a unique setup on the cars when compared to other tracks on the calendar. The layout means cars run with minimal downforce, but at the same time, they need to have a well-balanced aerodynamic package to generate enough downforce under braking. The F1 Caravan visits many different countries throughout the season, and all this offers a unique view of diversity, exploration, and life. Culture is the main core and essence of the world and is present in all aspects of life. Now, diving into culture within Formula One, one of the biggest and most famous sports ever, is a clear sight that the sport has never failed to shed light on the beauty of cultural diversity and of every host country. Formula One will take people along with them to 24 rounds around the world in 2024, which has definitely increased and will continue to increase the exposure of each and every single country on the calendar. Through their races, they have perfectly showcased the beauty, architecture and infrastructure of the countries, which results in boosting tourism. A great example would be the Singapore Grand Prix, which sees thousands of people all around the globe visit and attend the race while spending a few more days exploring the city. The Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi is also a stunning example of Formula One integrating culture and infrastructure. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix has specifically worked on its circuit to incorporate its design, match Arab culture, reflect on the traditional Arab dhow, a sailing vessel widely used in the Arabian Gulf for centuries, and feature it as a core Emirati and Arab cultural element. The intricate patterns of the circuit's design are truly a symphony in motion. Talking about cultural concepts is a crucial one in the exchange itself, which involves bringing together individuals from diverse backgrounds to interact, share ideas and exchange stories, fostering emotional connections, understanding and mutual respect. Formula One consistently excels at promoting cultural exchange throughout the year. By uniting passionate individuals from various cultures, the sport creates a safe space for bonding, showcasing local pride and championing diversity. Formula One's unique subculture, widely celebrated globally, serves as a vibrant hub where fans unite daily to express their love for the sport. From humorous memes to educational content on social media, this subculture engages fans in an entertaining and informative manner. Importantly, Formula One has played a significant role in shaping gender equality. While gender discrimination has been deeply ingrained in cultures, positive changes are underway. In the past, female participation in motorsport was limited, but Formula One has actively contributed to breaking down gender barriers and fostering inclusivity in the sport with an all-female academy called F1 Academy. While F1 still has work in front of them to fully accept and work with all cultures, the fact is they are on the right track and have made a lot of progress, especially during these last few years, which is a feat worth congratulating and giving credit to. There are currently 10 teams on the grid that are competing for the prestige of being champions. The Swiss team Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber, previously known as Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, Ferrari, Mercedes, Haas, McLaren, AlphaTauri, Red Bull and Williams. Ferrari is by far the most successful team, winning 16 Constructors' Championships, with the last one being in 2008. Probably surprising to many people, Williams is behind them with 8, but the last one they won was in 1997, and McLaren and Mercedes share the same number with 8. The Constructors' Championship was first awarded as the International Cup for Formula One manufacturers in 1958 to Vanwall, and in 1981 this name was officially changed to the World Constructors' Championship. Most of the F1 drivers start in karting, which is the case with arguably the best driver in recent years, Max Verstappen. With 3 titles under his belt, the Dutchman looks to increase that number in this ground effect era as his team, Red Bull, is dominating and probably will soon reach Mercedes in the number of constructors' titles we mentioned earlier. But the 2 drivers with the most titles won are Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher, each with 7, each in different eras where F1 was very different. Schumacher's rivalry with Damon Hill has been talked about until this day, with the German legend winning titles in 1994 and 1995, but losing out to Hill in 1996. Hamilton's rivalry, however, was unbelievable with Nico Rosberg during the course of 4 years as Mercedes teammates. The last one, 2016, saw the final triumph of Rosberg, which, looking at it now, definitely did prevent Hamilton from being alone at the top of the Drivers' Champions, because with his age and the state in which Mercedes is right now, he would hardly win another title until he decided to retire. But before Schumacher and Hill and Hamilton and Rosberg, there were a few rivalries worth mentioning between Alan Jones and Nelson Piquet, first and foremost. A combined 4 world titles and 35 F1 wins, this is a rivalry that marked the first part of the 1980s, later shadowed by Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. The battle between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost is the most fierce, controversial and famous in F1 history. Due to death, injury or retirement, F1 greats rarely square off against each other for very long, but Prost and Senna's careers overlapped considerably. Prost took his first world title in 1985, the season in which Senna scored his maiden World Championship Grand Prix victory and became the Brazilian's target and focus. Between 1985 and 1993, Senna and Prost won all but 2 of the world titles. During their time at McLaren, Senna won 14 times to Prost's 11, while the Frenchman scored more points. Once Prost had retired, relations between them improved, and Senna is reported to have missed his former rival as he became the old guard against the up-and-coming Schumacher in 1994. That duel never got the chance to develop due to Senna's death at the 1994 San Marino GP. Formula One eras can be defined by some of its biggest rivalries between drivers, often boiling over and becoming bigger talking points than the actual racing, and this is why the sport is so interesting and exciting to watch. But the drivers and the cars are only part of the whole F1 caravan, as behind the scenes, many more important people are responsible for its functioning. Race engineers, for example, are crucial assets in every Formula One team, as they're the ones who ensure drivers and their vehicles are attuned to put on a show on the track. I'm sure you've heard of Peter Bonington, or Bono as Hamilton calls him, or Gianpiero Lambiase, Verstappen's partner in the pit. Despite the chaotic atmosphere, this position requires them to effectively apply their technical and social skills, as they will cover drivers' backs, offering constant communication on the whole duration of the race while taking control of the car's functioning. Then the pit crew is responsible for fast tyre changes and, if necessary, front wing changes. The current world record for the fastest pit stop is held by McLaren, who serviced Lando Norris at the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix in 1.8 seconds. These are highly trained professionals who know what they're doing at any given point throughout the race. Tacticians are also present in the pit, who constantly discuss what the drivers should do and when to pit, which tyre sets they will use, and often, more than not, those tacticians are what will make or break a driver's race, as we've seen throughout the years that it often means losing precious points in the title race. We also have to mention the nutritionists, physiotherapists, and even psychologists who contribute to the overall well-being and performance of the drivers. The support staff creates a seamless operation, allowing the drivers and the technical team to focus on their respective tasks without distractions. Behind the scenes, engineers refine technological marvels, strategists craft race-winning plans, and support teams ensure seamless operations as their collective synergy transforms a mere car into a competitive force. Each careful adjustment, strategic decision, and supporting role contributes to the thrill on the track. Formula One's true spectacle is not just the race day drama, but the symphony of expertise from these heroes, shaping victories through precision, planning, and unwavering teamwork. The racing weekend has things going on each day, so let's delve deeper into each one of them. In the days leading up to the race, Formula One drivers take to the track for 2 or 3 practice sessions, followed by a qualifying or sprint session, which determines the starting positions for the upcoming race. Practice is important for a driver as it allows them to figure out the rhythm of the track and give their team feedback on the car's handling. Practice sessions are mandatory, even though they do not directly affect points or the race itself. For a Formula One driver to be eligible to start a race or a sprint, they must have participated in at least one practice session during the preceding race weekend. During practice sessions, drivers must follow the same driving rules on track as when they are racing. If a driver breaks the rules, the stewards investigate the incident and punish practice violations with a positive penalty applied to the start of the race. Just like in a race, the race director will order red flags and flashing lights to be displayed around the course if track conditions become unsafe in a practice session. As soon as these signals are displayed, drivers are required to reduce speed and return to the pit lane. Every race has 2 or 3 free practice sessions preceding it, depending on whether there is a sprint session as part of the race weekend. If a sprint is scheduled, there will only be 2 free practices, as the sprint takes the place of the 3rd practice session. During free practice, drivers can make as many laps as they like. All cars are permitted on the track simultaneously after being released one at a time from the pits. All practice sessions are 1 hour long. Regardless of whether there is a sprint, the first free practice is required to take place on the first day that cars are allowed on the track, which is typically a Friday. The second free practice must be held the day before the race, usually on a Saturday. If there is a third free practice, it must take place on the same day as the second practice. The current qualifying format is only here as of 2016, as there were many formats throughout the years, and it's safe to say we are currently seeing the best one. Believe it or not, in the days of pre-war Grand Prix racing, it was commonplace to decide the grid order by drawing lots. But ever since the World Championship began in 1950, pole position has been awarded to the quickest driver in practice or qualifying. Up until 1996, qualifying followed a fairly standard pattern. There were 2 sessions in which to set times, one on Friday and one on Saturday, and no fuel restrictions of any kind. There were weaknesses in each decade, of course, from special one-lap qualifying tyres and engines in the turbocharged 80s to early morning pre-qualifying in the late 80s and early 90s. But essentially, the system remained the same as it always had, with the fastest overall time securing pole. That format, however, came to be a major drawback. It meant a thrilling climax was far from guaranteed, especially if it was dry on Friday but then wet on Saturday. In 1996, F1 adopted a single 1-hour qualifying session with a maximum of 12 laps to enhance Saturday's excitement. This format lasted until 2002. To address teams waiting in garages, 1-lap qualifying began in 2003. It continued with tweaks until 2005, when a controversial aggregate system was introduced but abandoned after 6 races. The subsequent 2005 format, based on single flying laps with race fuel on Saturday, improved, but F1's love for 1-lap qualifying waned. In 2006, a multi-lap system returned, eliminating drivers progressively until 10 remained for pole contention. Despite its popularity, challenges persisted, leading to tweaks, including a fuel-related controversy in 2008. The ban on refueling in 2010 brought back low-fuel shootouts in qualifying, maintaining the 3 sessions with a final 10-driver fight for pole for 6 seasons. However, in 2016, the rules changed again. Drivers had a 5-minute window in each of the 3 qualifying sessions, Q1, Q2 and Q3, to set a time. After that, the slowest driver was eliminated every 90 seconds. Of the 22 entries, 15 advanced to Q2 and then 8 to Q3, culminating in a final 2-man battle for pole position. So on Sunday, drivers first go through a formation lap, and while this is usually just a formality, it is quite important for various reasons. First and foremost, the parade lap allows the Formula One drivers to get one last look at the track to identify the best places to overtake. A second purpose of the formation lap is to allow the cars to warm up their tyres. Truthfully speaking, tyre blankets can only heat them for so long, and even then they cool down very quickly. This affects grip levels negatively and could cause a lot of wheel spin. This is why the warm-up lap is needed to heat up the tyres quicker. To achieve this, they will weave slowly from side to side and may sometimes also warm their brakes. On many occasions, particularly in 4-wheel racing, the competitors are not allowed to overtake. However, in the case of 2-wheel competitors, they can overtake as long as they assemble in their proper grid slots. All of the drivers and their teams decide on their tyre sets at the start, but it heavily depends on track temperature and air temperature. More often than not, however, the top 10 drivers all start on the same tyre set, and the ones at the back of the grid start on different ones in order to gain as many positions as they can. In current Formula One, a good start is very important because overtaking at many of today's circuits is very difficult due to the way they're designed. Whether or not that's a problem, let us know in the comments below, but it definitely takes away from the excitement of the sport, in my opinion. In the end, we must not forget to mention the race tactics, and knowing when is the perfect moment to pit for a new set and when to attack or not might prove pivotal in the driver getting the victory or not. However, the tacticians in the pit are responsible for this in a large part, as are the drivers, and while 2 heads are better than 1, it can lead to unforeseen circumstances like Ferrari and Leclerc in 2022. The point system is actually quite simple, one of the simplest things in Formula One. Only the top 10 drivers can get points, with the winner receiving 25 points, the second place driver receiving 18 points, and the third place driver 15. The number of points decreases for each position down until the 10th, which is worth just a single point. Those drivers who finish outside the top 10 will not score points. Drivers can also earn an extra point for setting the fastest lap of the race. However, this extra point is only awarded if the driver finishes in the top 10. In 2021, sprint races were introduced to add more excitement to the race weekend. They are shorter than regular races, with drivers racing 100 kilometers in 25 or 30 minutes. The format is similar to the race point redistribution, but with the sole difference that only the top 8 get points. As such, the winner gets 8 points and the driver in 8th place gets 1 point. If a race covers 75% or more of the scheduled distance, drivers receive full points. In cases where less than 75% is completed, the point system adjusts based on the race's extent. A rule change prompted by the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix awards no points unless the race leader completes at least 2 laps without safety car or virtual safety car involvement, preventing a repeat of the 1 lap scenario and half-point allocation. The current Formula One point system is considerably more generous than in the championship's debut season in 1950. Then, just 8 points were available to the race winner, with only the top 5 scoring, and during that time, there was also a point awarded to the driver who set the fastest lap, and every driver was eligible, no matter their finishing position. The fastest lap point was then dropped in 1959 before making a return 60 years later. The point point system was then changed again in 1961. This time, the top 6 received points, with 9 awarded to the winner. This is the longest-serving point system in Grand Prix racing and was used until 1990. One key aspect was that only a certain number of results counted towards a driver's championship total. Along with the removal of the dropped point system in 1991, F1 also decided to award more for a victory, with the points redistribution being 10, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1 for first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth respectively. Formula One used this for the rest of the decade and beyond before deciding to change it for 2003 in response to the dominance of Michael Schumacher. This time, Schumacher narrowly won his 6th championship by just 2 points, as opposed to his gap of 67 the year before. This system was used for the rest of the decade before F1's most radical points system change for the 2010 season, a change that we're still seeing now. It's worth mentioning that there was also an anomaly in 2014 when Formula One offered double points for the Abu Dhabi season finale in an effort to increase the chances of the championship going down to the wire. It was not popular and was seen as too artificial. In the end, it didn't have an impact on the championship winner, as Lewis Hamilton beat Nico Rosberg and would have done the same without double points. It was subsequently scrapped for the 2015 season and has not returned. Formula One engineers are some of the brightest and most competitive minds in the auto racing industry, and because of this, F1 cars are able to perform unlike any other race car in the world. While regulations change slightly from year to year, dictating vehicle specification limits and such, the current generation of F1 cars is one of the fastest and safest. In this section, we'll go over some of the basic elements of a modern Formula One car. One of the reasons that the latest Formula One cars are able to travel at such breakneck speeds is due to how engineers designed the cars with aerodynamics in mind. A racing car must be sleek and minimize air resistance to travel more quickly. However, F1 cars must also generate a lot of downforce in order to hug the racetrack and maintain traction through corners while staying at relatively high speeds. Over the years, F1 engineers have undergone significant changes from supercharged engines in the 1950s and 60s to turbochargers and larger sizes in the 1980s and 90s. Currently, F1 cars are mandated to use a 4-stroke 1.6-litre turbocharged V6 engine with hybrid electric components. The Energy Recovery System, ERS, has evolved since its 2009 introduction. Initially, the Kinetic Energy Recovery System, KERS, stored energy using a battery or flywheel, assisting engine power. Today's ERS combines the Motor Generator Unit Kinetic, MGUK, and the Motor Generator Unit Heat, MGUH, converting mechanical and heat energy into electrical energy. The ultra-lightweight design of the F1 chassis contributes to their remarkable speed. Carbon fibre, renowned for strength and lightness, is the primary material. Kevlar, used in bulletproof vests, enhances driver safety without compromising weight. The constant innovation by top engineers ensures F1 cars are both safe and fast. We have to mention also one of the most innovative approaches undertaken in F1, as it has massively improved safety, which is the halo. The halo is a curved bar that acts as a crash protector in the event that a car turns upside down, or to prevent on-track debris from striking a driver in the head. While many race fans and drivers were reticent about the adoption of the halo, it has since proved its worth time and time again by likely saving the lives of several race car drivers. It became mandatory during the 2018 season and has arguably prevented catastrophic injuries to race car drivers like Romain Grosjean and 7-time F1 world champion Lewis Hamilton. The technical rules and regulations in Formula One play a pivotal role in shaping the design and performance of the cars. With these regulations, FIA tries to ensure safety, fairness and competitive balance among teams as they govern various aspects specs, including chassis dimensions, aerodynamics, power units, fuel and energy management, gearbox specifications, tyre composition and safety features. For instance, the aerodynamic rules control wing design and diffusers to prevent teams from gaining excessive advantages. Safety regulations mandate features like the survival cell and crash structures to protect drivers, and these rules collectively foster a balance between innovation, competitiveness and safety, shaping Formula One cars into a high-performance machine within a regulated framework. There are many innovations taking place year in and year out as Formula One is a high-tech sport. One of them is the ground effect. The lasting impact of ground effects-generated downforce is quite apparent at present, given the paradigm shift F1 has undertaken for the 2022 season. As part of the most radical technical overhaul in the championship's history, the regulations have been rewritten around a philosophy that had supposedly enjoyed its heyday 4 decades ago. Another innovation in the sport that completely changed it is the semi-automatic gearbox. In the 1970s and 80s, increasing engine power and material technology challenges made transmissions a major source of unreliability in top-level motorsport. Ferrari's chief designer John Barnard introduced the semi-automatic change in 1989 to address these issues, starting with buttons on the steering wheel and later evolving into paddles. The innovation aimed to reduce gearbox strain, prevent over-revving and ensure consistent load between gear changes. The Ferrari 640's debut in the 1989 Brazilian GP, driven by Nigel Mansell, showcased immediate success. While reliability issues affected the campaign, the innovation's potential, including reducing driver workload, led to the retirement of conventional H-pattern gearboxes. Paddle shift sequential gearboxes have since dominated F1 for 3 decades, and their application has even extended to the road car industry for faster gear changes and improved fuel efficiency. Formula One as a sport develops constantly, and we're looking forward to seeing more and more innovations with each passing season. This is the best of the best in motorsport, and the cutting edge of technology will first be seen in Formula One in many years to come. We explained the qualifying format and its history earlier in the video, so now let's talk about the qualifying rules. In the first qualifying session, Q1, spanning 18 minutes and featuring 20 drivers, the bottom 5 participants in terms of speed are eliminated. These drivers secure grid positions 16 to 20, with the 20th position marking the conclusion of the session. The subsequent qualifying round, Q2, lasts 15 minutes and involves 15 drivers, eliminating another set of 5 slow drivers. This results in them occupying grid spots 11 to 15. The final qualifying session, Q3, takes place over 12 minutes and involves the top 10 drivers. It determines their positioning for the actual race, emphasising the aim of finishing first to secure the optimal starting position on the grid for race day. The Grand Prix serves as the focal point of a Formula One racing weekend, unfolding on the Sunday of the event. Before the commencement of the race, drivers embark on a single lap around the track known as the formation lap. This lap serves multiple purposes, including familiarising the drivers with the circuit's layout, allowing them to warm up their tyres, and providing an opportunity to address any potential vehicle issues. As the official start approaches, drivers align on the starting grid, awaiting the sequence of 5 pairs of red starting lights. These lights illuminate consecutively, with each pair extinguishing at 1-second intervals. When the final pair of red lights goes out, signalling the race is beginning, drivers accelerate from the grid onto the track. Simultaneously, green starting lights indicate the commencement of active racing. In the event of a delayed start, the red lights persist and yellow lights illuminate to indicate a suspended race. The total runtime of an F1 Grand Prix is capped at 2 hours, excluding any periods of race suspension. Should the 2-hour mark be reached, the leading driver at the moment of crossing the finish line is declared the winner, regardless of whether the final scheduled lap has been completed. The top 3 drivers to cross the finish line on the final lap are recognised as the first, second and third place finishers, earning them the designation of podium finishers. This distinction signifies their achievement in securing a coveted spot on the podium after the race. There are also flags in different colours indicating different things. A red flag indicates that the race or session has been suspended. Yellow flag signals the presence of a hazard or dangerous conditions on the track, cautioning drivers to be vigilant. Green flag, this signifies that full speed racing may resume, indicating the end of a caution period. Blue flag informs a driver that they must yield and move aside to allow a faster driver to overtake. Black flag indicates that a driver has been disqualified from the race, necessitating their immediate withdrawal. And black and white checkered flag waved at the end of the race or session, which signifies its conclusion. The driver leading at this moment is declared the winner, marking the culmination of the competition. Open wheel racing, being an inherently perilous sport, mandates stringent safety measures for drivers. Essential safety gear includes helmets and head and neck support, HANS devices. Helmets crafted from lightweight and fire-resistant materials serve as crucial protective headgear. HANS devices play a pivotal role in shielding the driver's vertebrae in the event of a collision. Typically constructed from carbon fibre, they're affixed to the seatbelt within the cockpit. In addition to head protection, drivers don flame-retardant suits tailored for the specific purpose of mitigating fire-related risks in case of a crash and subsequent combustion. These suits feature handles on the shoulders, facilitating the driver's secure strapping into the seat. Given the high speeds and formidable force loads experienced during races, taking precautionary measures and ensuring the driver's secure and comprehensive protection is of paramount importance in open-wheel racing. The safety car rule is one of the most controversial but necessary rules, as it brings safety to the drivers, but FIA has botched it so many times that it is becoming increasingly frustrating to the drivers and their teams, and also for the fans watching as well. It has been stated many times that the FIA has a lot of work in that department in terms of when to activate the safety car or the virtual safety car, because it directly impacts the race result and overall experience of watching the sport. Before we get into this, one needs to understand why pit stops are necessary in F1 racing in the first place. After all, to a layman, it might seem like a bad idea to come to a complete stop for an extended period of time during a race where the goal is to finish in first place. So why are pit stops needed? Well, most people don't know this, but pit stops exist because the rules say they have to. There was a time in F1 racing when pit stops weren't compulsory. The rules now state that drivers have to make at least one pit stop and are even required to use more than one type of tyre throughout the race. The reason for this is not what most think. F1 racing is very intense, so one could be forgiven for assuming that tyres have to be exchanged during a race because they wear out. Well, this is true, but the reality is that tyres used in F1 are designed to wear out quickly. It would actually be very easy to make tyres capable of lasting the entire race, but such tyres are not used. That's because F1 is a spectator sport above all else. Pit stops add drama and excitement for the audience, and the switching of tyres to different tyres throughout the race adds an element of strategy that is readily visible to the audience, allowing them to speculate on it. This all adds to the audience enjoyment of the sport. In short, F1 racing doesn't need pit stops strictly for car maintenance. It is required in order to add to the spectacle, but in requiring such pit stops, strategies surrounding them have been born. So how does the pit stop strategy work in F1 racing? Formula One employs various pit stop strategies, each carefully selected based on factors such as pit lane time, starting position, and the impact of traffic. Among these strategies, the undercut and overcut stand out as two of the most common and strategically significant approaches. The undercut involves a driver pitting earlier than their competitors. This tactic proves effective when a driver seeks to establish a time advantage over opponents with worn-out tyres. It is also employed when a driver finds themselves stuck behind a rival and aims to gain a positional advantage during the opponent's pit stop. Conversely, the overcut strategy entails a driver refraining from pitting even after their rivals have done so. By maintaining track position with worn-out tyres, drivers employing the overcut aim to widen the gap. When they eventually make their pit stop, they intend to rejoin the race while staying ahead of their rivals. The selection of a specific strategy involves meticulous calculations that evolve based on the evolving dynamics of the race. The unpredictable nature of Formula One adds an extra layer of complexity. Even the driver with the fastest pit stop record can face setbacks such as minor issues like a loose wheel nut. In 2009, the FIA banned refueling, which led to a massive drop in the length of pit stops. Today, the average F1 pit stop is just under 3 seconds, with the record for the fastest F1 pit stop ever being McLaren's 2023 Qatar GP stop of 1.80 seconds, which we mentioned earlier. For context, F1 pit stop times in the 90s were as long as 9 seconds and almost 30 in the early F1 years. These stops are primarily made to change car tyres, although teams might decide to make adjustments to the rear and front wings of the car. The mechanics of a Formula One team, particularly the pit crew members, are the integral force often associated with the dynamic spectacle of a Formula One pit stop. These skilled individuals are adept at addressing various aspects, including engine repairs and resolving general issues that may arise during or after a race. After their crucial tasks, tyre changing takes centre stage and is a spectacle to behold during pit breaks. Tyre changing mechanics operate with well-defined roles, specifying who handles the car jack and who is responsible for removing or replacing lug nuts. Key members of a pit stop crew include the front jack crew, gunners, rear jack crew, wheel-off crew, and wheel-on crew. Beyond their active engagement during races, F1 mechanics bear the responsibility of maintaining the car and preparing it for subsequent races. Their meticulous changes performed by the mechanics post-race are not arbitrary. Instead, they are determined and analysed in collaboration with the race team's engineers. This collaborative effort ensures that the F1 car is not only race-ready, but also optimised for peak performance in the demanding and competitive world of Formula One racing. In Formula One, drivers are obligated to make at least one pit stop during a race unless it's consistently wet throughout. This rule is designed to add excitement to races and prevent cars from running in a procession. In the past, pit stops were also required for refueling, a tactic reintroduced in 1982 by Brabham, who demonstrated that refueling midway through for fuel and fresh rubber could be a strategic advantage. However, this practice was banned in 1984 due to safety concerns. It was reinstated in 1994 to enhance the excitement, but was banned again in 2010. To maintain strategic elements, teams were then mandated to use different types of tyres during a race. Race strategies are highly influenced by various factors, requiring extensive research and data analysis. Strategists gather data around 6 weeks before a race, considering variables such as pit lane times, expected average pit stop durations, chances of a safety car, and its potential impact. This, coupled with predictions of the car's performance and that of rivals, forms the baseline strategy. During practice sessions at the track, live information on tyre performance is collected, refining simulations and accounting for factors like tyre degradation influenced by type, temperature and changing car weight as fuel is burned off. Ultimately, the driver's qualifying position, accurate weather predictions and real-time data during the race weekend all contribute to determining the optimum race strategy. There's no doubt that the F1 fan culture is as widespread as it has ever been. Before the digital age, F1 fans primarily connected through traditional channels like TV broadcasts, newspapers and magazines. Spectators gathered at racetracks and local fan clubs provided a sense of community. However, these forms of engagement lacked the intimacy and global reach that social media platforms offer today. You can purchase a ticket now to tour the paddock and the pit and sit in the best seats possible, which, albeit very expensive, do indeed offer you a once-in-a-lifetime experience. A revitalised pop culture engine has taken over the sport recently. Driver fan cams on TikTok, magazine features and braggalicious trap tracks proliferate with each passing day. American audiences, traditionally accustomed to NASCAR, have bought into F1 and brought with them a whole new world of money-making ploys, not all of which are so fan-friendly, to be honest. F1 has always been about the glitz and glamour, and at the end of the day, it is the premier motorsport, and it deserves that. F1 has also invested in enhancing the fan experience through various means. This includes interactive websites and mobile apps providing live race updates, driver insights, behind-the-scenes content and fan forums. Additionally, fan festivals, events and experiences organised around races provide opportunities for fans to engage directly with the sport, drivers and teams. The whole point of going to a Grand Prix is not to directly watch the race. I mean, how could you do that? You cannot exactly fly around the track. No, the point is to experience the whole weekend with so many people, cars on exhibitions, souvenirs, and all those things that come with it. With the rise of platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, F1 fan culture underwent a profound transformation. Social media broke down geographical barriers, allowing fans worldwide to interact and share their passion instantly. Real-time discussions during races, sharing thoughts and direct engagement with drivers and teams became possible. The shift marked the beginning of a new era in F1 fan culture, characterized by unprecedented connectivity and interactivity. F1 has embraced social media platforms, creating official accounts and engaging with fans online, which enable fans to connect, discuss races and access exclusive content. Not to mention that F1 communities are huge, with the official subreddit of Formula One currently having 3.5 million official subscribers, with around 5,000 active at any point of the day. The world of F1 is packed with stiff competition, and a team's success is not only limited to the drivers and their staff, but the fans also enable their favourites to reach the top at any and all costs, from spending thousands to attending games around the globe to advocating for their top players online. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Red Bull's Max Verstappen have legions of fans, and Lewis Hamilton's name is nearly always prefaced with the greatest of all time. Furthermore, social media has engaged as a powerful tool for disseminating information and educating fans about the intricacies of F1. Fans can access a wealth of statistics, analysis, and historical context, enhancing their understanding of the sport. YouTube in particular has become a hub for in-depth technical breakdowns, race simulations, and driver interviews, catering to fans seeking a deeper level of engagement. Despite the undeniable enrichment of F1 fan culture, social media has presented challenges. The instant nature of platforms can lead to knee-jerk reactions and heated debates, sometimes overshadowing the enjoyment of the sport itself. Negative interactions, cyberbullying and toxic behaviours have occasionally marked the online experience for fans. Additionally, Additionally, the flood of information can be overwhelming, requiring fans to critically evaluate sources and information to prevent the spread of misinformation and rumours. As Formula One continues to evolve, so too will its fan culture in the digital age. Social media platforms are likely to integrate new features and technologies, further enhancing fan enjoyment through virtual reality experiences, interactive live streams, and enhanced data analytics. The challenge moving forward will be to strike a balance between the positive aspects of social media engagement and addressing its potential pitfalls. Fostering a respectful and inclusive online environment is crucial for preserving the sense of community and camaraderie that defines F1 fan culture. The excitement of the sport also draws new fans, especially with the popularity of Netflix Drive to Survive, which reviews each season in depth and goes behind the scenes so we can see exactly what was happening before, during, and after each race. Also, we get to meet the families of the drivers and team principals here, which brings fans closer to the star actors of the sport. In Drive to Survive, the most famous races of recent years were also dramatised to the degree that even if you're not an F1 fan, you could find yourself drawn into the action. Such was the 2021 Abu Dhabi race, where we didn't know who would be a champion up until the final few corners. And while it was exciting to see it live, imagine the film version of it at the end of season 4. Liberty Media has the right model when it comes to fan interaction in today's era. You are able to literally watch every inch of the track from home and interact with people online at all times, especially during a race day, as it's simply an unprecedented model and a model that brings them basically all they could ever wish for. As a Formula One fan, the experience right now is at a very high level, and I'm personally looking forward to seeing how all of it might shape out in the future. Can it get any better than this? Of course, there are toxic fans as well. Imagine being in the Mercedes subreddit, for example, after the Abu Dhabi 2021 Grand Prix, but it's all part of the experience, and you can simply choose to ignore them if you don't like reading or hearing about it. But it doesn't diminish the fact that for the person who wants to spend money and enjoys F1, they will get an unbelievable experience, one they'll remember forever. The impact of social media on F1 fan culture has been profound and far-reaching. The digital age has transformed the way fans connect, interact, and engage with the sport. Real-time discussions, access to information, and the creation of global communities have enriched the F1 experience, forging connections that span continents. While challenges persist, the future holds exciting possibilities for further enhancing the relationship between F1 fans and the sport they love. Formula One's appeal lies in its complex nature, which encompasses technological innovation, skilled driving, strategic ability, and a global fan base that transcends cultural boundaries. At the heart of F1's allure is the relentless pursuit of technological excellence as teams invest heavily in research and development, pushing the boundaries of engineering to gain a competitive edge. The sport serves as a testing ground for advancements in automotive technology, as we mentioned earlier, with innovations often trickling down to the consumer market. The details of aerodynamics, hybrid power units, and tyre technology are a constant source of fascination for both fans and industry professionals. Each F1 season brings new challenges, rule changes, and shifts in team dynamics. The sport's regulatory framework is designed to balance competition and maintain a level playing field. Yet the constant quest for improvement ensures that teams are always adapting and innovating, because you simply can't stand still in this sport. And that's what makes it the best of the best. The ever-changing landscape keeps fans engaged and invested as they witness the evolution of both the sport and the teams over time. The drivers themselves contribute significantly as well. We have to mention that. These elite athletes possess a unique combination of skill, precision and bravery as they navigate challenging circuits at incredible speeds. The rivalry between them also adds a human element to the sport, creating compelling storylines that are talked about for years to come, like Hamilton-Rosberg or Lauda and Hunt. The battle for supremacy at the front of the grid is not only a test of machinery, but also a showcase of individual talent and determination, as well as mental strength. Strategic depth is another dimension that adds to F1's dynamic nature. Races are not merely won by the fastest car or the most skilled driver. They're often shaped by strategic decisions made by teams throughout the race weekend. Factors such as tyre management, pit stop timing, and race strategy play a crucial role in determining the outcome, and this strategic element adds an extra layer of excitement and unpredictability, making every race a unique spectacle. Formula One's global reach and diverse fan base contribute to its widespread popularity. Races are held on iconic circuits around the world, from the historic streets of Monaco to the modern facilities in Asia and the Middle East. The sport's ability to attract a global audience transcends language and cultural barriers, creating a sense of unity among fans who share a passion for speed and competition. You can follow F1 on their official website, formula1.com, with them releasing exclusive team principal and driver interviews, and on all social media to stay in touch at all times with everything new in this sport, as they offer behind-the-scenes access for every race. Their Instagram account is amazing, as it delves deep into the paddock and pit on race day, so you can see how each team prepares to take it to the track. Formula One has truly earned its place as a global sporting spectacle. It's successfully navigated a changing landscape, making the necessary shifts to cater to a diverse global audience. The future promises even more excitement as Formula One embraces sustainability, harnesses the power of digital innovation, continues its global expansion, and places greater emphasis on diversity and safety. The essence of Formula One, its spirit of competition, innovation and adaptation, ensures that the sport will continue to captivate audiences worldwide, just as it has done since its inception. So with the 2024 season fast approaching, you do not want to miss it, as I believe it will be much more interesting than the previous one. Mercedes and Ferrari promise a lot with their new cars, that they will be able to catch Red Bull and Max Verstappen, but we can't forget McLaren here, who has undoubtedly the most talented driver pair on the grid right now with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. All this sets the stage for an unforgettable season, and who knows, we could even get a brand new F1 champion. Why not? Thank you for watching today's video. We hope you enjoyed it, and if so, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll keep you up to date right through the season. Talk to us in the comments below, and see you next time.